Hi everyone, today I'm with Mary Pratt, aka Pratt, who achieved incredible success very early on in her career when she was in the recruitment industry. Today I'm going to talk to Pratt about her experience in the recruitment industry and how she experienced a major career setback and then turned things around to become the founder of the Caviar Spoon. Hello, Pratt.
Hello, Donya. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, pleasure. I'm touched that you actually invited me because it's usually the other way around. So this is lovely.
That's true. Actually, you're usually the one mastering and creating the collaborations. But I first got the idea of asking you when I was actually looking at the Caviar Spoon's website, and I read your little intro, and it mentioned how you went at one point in your career from driving a BMW and drinking champagne to suddenly finding yourself in a Golf with the house wine.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a story behind that. Yeah. And I was so intrigued. And then we spoke and I was like, right, I have to have you on. So before we talk about, how things changed for you, maybe you can just give us a glimpse into like how your life was before, because I know you were at the pinnacle of your career in the recruitment industry, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Donya, is one massive, fabulous roller coaster. So, as with many people, fell into recruitment. I was a temp and I thought, hey, I could do this better. And started with a startup business, two guys myself, and it started off with a Rolodex and a small desk and a phone. And it was a typical sort of sales background, sell, fill jobs. And over that time, I was with the guys for about 10 years. We created a really robust business. We were great in the city of Norwich. We were winning awards left, right and centre. We had amazing staff. And it was brilliant. And the guys did look after me. Got to about 27 and my vision started changing. They wanted different things. So being that 27-year-old who loved recruitment, I set up my own business called Cocoa Bean. So set it up with one guy who I still think a lot of, even though we went through such a horrendous end, which you'll hear about. Yeah. But with Cocoa Bean, it basically exploded. So within a month, we had repatriation contract of a company in Norwich where we were required to fill 50 positions, trilingual positions in Norfolk. You're from Norfolk. It's very hard to find 24/7 trilingual people.
Absolutely.
So we did sit there at one point going, can we do it? We worked out we could do it. And off we went. And it went on from there. We were winning awards, innovation awards, special recognition in the industry. We were growing. We were making profit within 2 months. And it was really fantastic. So that was a point where I look back and think, wow, I had amazing staff, the most incredible clients who I'm friends with a lot of them, and the most amazing candidates. So really all of that mixed together, that was what I call the happy days of recruitment.
The perfect combination.
The perfect combination.
But then obviously things did take a downturn. So, what changed? What happened?
Oh, what changed, Donya? Oh, so much. So over the time, I think it was firstly recession hit. So you're trying to push as hard as you wanted to in a recession. Now, I'd been to Cranfield Business School, which is one of the leading business schools. Yeah. And so I wasn't, I knew my stuff about business. Recession, we can still go. So there's a multitude of things which were errors. So moving into big swanky offices, big bills. Taking on too many staff at one point which weren't experienced, because I had a big thing about taking on rookies and building them up to do it the right way in the recruitment industry. Being torn too many places, being asked to speak in London, radio, doing the Cranfield course. And I ended up feeling a slave to my dream. And with that, I made fatal errors. So that's a bit where I always sit there and people go, I'd never do this. Well, I always say one line, you may know what's right and what's wrong, but do you do what's right? And we can all make these errors. Absolutely. And I think the two fatalities is one, trusting someone with finance. Next thing is over-relying on finance people. With that, it came on to the catastrophe, which I call a catastrophe part of my life. So that was on my 31st birthday, and I had a gut-wrenching feeling. I was thinking, there's something wrong. And Brooke, who worked for me, she called up, she went, no one's been paid. So, oh my God, what do you mean no one's been paid? So get back, go to my house. The person I was with had done a runner. So with that, I'm left with not knowing what's going on. So my first thing, pay the staff. So wipe my savings, paid staff, don't worry. And then took out a £20,000 loan to pay the staff next month. And then it just unravelled. The next week you go into the accounts office, there's hidden invoices. And these are errors. When I tell you this, or when people are watching, I don't blame anyone. You know, they're the errors, but you have to try and fix them and go through the mayhem. But with that, there's some really good stuff that happened because you realise that staff were incredible. Like, some of the staff were so amazing. Customers, they were literally chairman of one business making an email to all of the departments saying you can only use cocoa bean. They were trying to bail us out. But through that journey, I'd made what I called my next fatality, and that was getting into bed with the devil. And this devil was actually an investment company, and they made everything sound good. And I had to do a number of things which went against my morals, my values, but all I had to think was, how can I keep that business running, keep staff working, keep temps working, and keeping customers happy? So with that, I signed a contract which gave me 75% of soft shares. Now, the reality lesson, finance lesson, hard shares, equity shares, soft shares, they don't really mean anything. So 75% of not much, but with all of the personal guarantees, all of the responsibility. So at that point, catastrophe number 2, I'm still sitting there wading through this treacle of hell and looking at my business going, this can't be happening. This cannot be happening. And I think it's like 3 months in, I just made a decision. And I never thought I'd do it. But I went to London, went into their swanky Mayfair offices, and they're all dressed in their pinstripe suits. And I sat there at this massive boardroom table and said, I'd like to say thank you. And these guys looked at me and said, oh, thank you for what? You know, they're thinking, well, we're about to take your business. So 1, you've taught me how not to treat people. And 2, you've taught me how to do business. And 3, one fact, and I'm giving you a fact this time, is you can take my business, but you can't buy me. So with that, I took my £75 for my 75% shares, cringing. We're all cringing at this point, right? Yes, we are. And that was the stage of what next? That was my what next moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, it's a very powerful statement, what you made in the meeting. I can't imagine what their reactions must have been.
They looked a bit gobsmacked.
I don't blame them.
Yes.
But I find it, you know, incredible noble of you, you know, that you took out your savings, you took out loans to pay off your employees. And although you had some very bad experiences, when we spoke before, you did kind of take responsibility partly for that as well, in terms of, you said that you let your ego kind of get in the way of that. How did it feel, you know, once everything had happened and you walked out with your £75, you know, what steps did you have to take to kind of pick yourself back up again? Because I can't imagine how you must have felt.
There's a mix of emotions. Now, firstly, you're feeling lost, anxious, very scared. I'd had a financial bubble, which is gone. I've literally lost my financial bubble. Just really disappointed in myself because, again, I'm doing this conversation because it's not about passing a buck. It's like saying I made fatal errors, but it was also like letting down people. You know, all of those things. Oh my God, I've let down my staff. You know, I've let down my customers. I've let down my candidates. Oh, and it's really gut wrenching. You're looking at the front page of a paper which used to be, you know, Cocoa Bean has won awards. The team have won awards, and then you're looking at Cocoa Bean has gone bust. It's in administration. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. But I think at that point, my rule has always been nothing or no one will define who I am. And I think at that point, it was time to make some massive changes. And that's only through, you can either sit there and panic, but I had a little bit of energy left. And even I used to have people come up and say to me, Mary, how come you're not more angry? You know, this has happened, that's happened. I said, what is it going to achieve by me looking back at all of this awful stuff when I have a reserve tank, which is just about enough to push me into getting out of it?
You've just got to keep moving, and
Exactly.
I think acceptance is the key to help you move past that, which clearly is something you did.
Yes.
And I love your attitude about never giving up and moving forward. So we're going to pause the conversation there because I want to speak to you on the next video about what you've done since your experience, because I know you've achieved some amazing things, and you can maybe give us some tips as well on, you know,
Perfect.
how to never give up.
Yep, it got better, guys. It did get better.
It did get better, and we're going to hear all about that on the next video. So thank you everyone for watching.